I thought that voice sounded familiar, James said to Pearl. It's my sister and her useless husband. Natalia and Sheila had been talking loudly. As James and Pearl entered the restaurant, they heard their voices and came over to confirm if they were right. Natalia saw them and her expression darkened. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "First, he kicked me out of my home," she thought. "And now he ruined my big moment. Because of him, my relationship with the rest of my family is on the verge of falling apart." "What do you mean, Natalia?" Pearl asked. "It's not like you own this restaurant, is it? We have every right to be here. And we're family." She turned so that her brand new designer handbag was displayed prominently. "I just joined this family, and I'm already a valued member," she thought. "We're even going out to a fancy restaurant for no particular reason. Natalia's been married for 3 years to that good-for-nothing husband. The Laplace did the right thing when they made those two leave. They're nothing but a joke." James was also gloating. "You should watch your tone, Natalia," he said. "You don't seem pleased to see us. But Pearl's right. We're family. Why don't you treat your brother and sister-in-law to dinner?" Sheila couldn't believe how shameless James was. She started to rise in protest when she felt Fraser's hand on her arm. He shook his head slightly to tell her to stand down. "I guess this is a family matter," she realized. "It needs to be handled by them." Fraser stood up instead and extended his hand welcomingly. "Have you two eaten yet?" he asked with concern. "Please join us. We can pull up a couple more chairs." James blinked in surprise. He had not expected that from his brother-in-law. "It depends on what you're buying," Pearl said disdainfully. "You're not going to cheap out and insist we order from the appetizer menu, are you? Because if we join you, we're going to get all the courses." Natalia had decided to try to be nice when Fraser made this gesture, but Pearl's words made her blood boil. "I can't believe their nerve," she thought. "They're destroying my celebratory meal." Fraser saw his wife's anger building, and he turned to James and Pearl. "Stop," he said as they were in the process of sitting down. "First, you're going to apologize to Natalia." They looked at him in disbelief. "How dare he talk to us like that?" James thought. "He's just a shady leech." "Who do you think you're talking to?" James asked indignantly. "I can't believe you actually came to this restaurant with your puny little salary. Can you even afford to eat here?" "Yeah," Pearl sneered. "How much do you make in a year anyway?" "Natalia just became the CEO of Frando Tech," Sheila blurted out, unable to hold her tongue any longer. "CEO?" James asked, stunned. Then he grinned maliciously. "I see. You're just lying to make your friend look better. Even if Natalia was hired by Frandotech, she would just start at an entry-level salary. How could she possibly be the CEO?" "Even if you don't believe it," Sheila said, "it's true." James was skeptical. "Natalia, what's going on?" Natalia explained her good news, but she left out the fact that Fraser knew Brett. "If you want, I can see about getting you a job there," she said as a peace offering. Pearl wrinkled her nose. "Impossible," she said. "Why would I want you as my boss?" Pearl was consumed with jealousy. "I couldn't stand her when she was a business manager," she thought. "Now that she's a CEO, there's too big a gap between us." Sheila spoke up again. "Natalia's worked hard to get where she is. This is something she really deserves." "Quit joking, Natalia," James said. "Tell me the truth." "This is the truth," she replied. "After I tie up some loose ends at Robster, I'm going to start at Frandotech. I have no reason to lie to you, and they're going to publicly announce it soon." "So, you're going to be a CEO," Pearl said. "What's your monthly salary going to be?" "That's still under negotiation," Natalia thought. Fraser suddenly spoke up. "The CEO's salary is calculated as a percentage of company earnings," he said. "Everyone knows that. It's somewhere in the range of $2 million a year." Pearl's mouth fell open in disbelief. $2 million a year? She thought. I can't believe that Natalia could come into that kind of money. You buy a new luxury car every year with that kind of cash. She looked from Natalia to James. "This has got to be a joke," she said, growing more upset with every word she spoke. "You and your sister are lying to me. You must think I'm a fool to fall for this. It's obvious you're having fun at my expense. Well, who cares about the Laplace family anyway?" She turned and ran out of the restaurant. "Pearl!" James called as he chased after her. The restaurant became calm after they left. James and Pearl hadn't realized they had been making a scene. Other patrons watching the show returned to their food and drinks. Natalia watched the door they had just gone through. Maybe I should go after them, she thought. He is my brother, after all. Perhaps I owe him an apology. She decided to give Pearl and James time to calm down and turned back to her table mates. "Fraser, when did your friend Brett become such a hotshot?" she asked, trying to restart the conversation. "I remember him distributing flyers on the street not so long ago." "Oh, he's amazing," Fraser said. "Just wait until you get to know him. I begged him for a long time to buy a company so that you could be the boss." "Oh, stop pretending like this is your doing," she said. "One question, and you're trying to show off. What does Frandotech have to do with you? And I'm just the CEO. I'll still be working for your friend. Why don't you ask him to give you a job too?" "I'm not as smart as you," Fraser laughed. "I could never work in the corporate world. Maybe I'll become a security guard." Natalia cast a critical eye over her husband. "You? A security guard?" "Yep," he said cheerfully. "If anyone gives you trouble, just let me know, and I'll beat him up for you." I don't see him this happy very often, Natalia thought. Her heart softened. Fraser smiled to himself. Security guard is a sweet way of putting it, he thought. If Ox can't beat me, who do I have to worry about? Outside on the street, James caught up to Pearl. "Listen to me," he pleaded. "I know you don't like her, but my sister is the CEO of a corporation now. It might be a good opportunity." "To do what?" Pearl spat. "Get a job and work for her? No thanks. I'd have to see her every day, and I'd have to watch her drive up in a fancy sports car and talk to that useless husband of hers." She cursed loudly, ignoring the angry stares of the people around the sidewalk. "Of course not," he said. "Think about it, I'm her brother. The money she earns should all go toward her family, shouldn't it?" He grinned maliciously. She stopped walking and turned to him. "What about that white car I was driving?" he asked. "It got smashed by somebody, and we don't know who the culprit was. I sense an opportunity." James had never gone to the police about what had happened. The car's title had still been in Natalia's name, and since he had been driving, he would have been liable. But things were different now. Pearl laughed. "I happened to fall in love with a car just like that at the car show. Don't you think that's a coincidence?" "It sure is," James said. "That's not a cheap car, but I'd do anything for Pearl," he thought. Just wait and see what happens. You'll be driving one before you know it."
To watch the full episode, install the Pocket FM app